Alright, all you ice road racers out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's Stunts of the Week goes to none other than Nasty Bastard with his said stunt flip, and of course to Little Sweet Boy with his stunt number 1. Now, the reason why we picked these two stunts, well, the first one, we picked it because it reminded us of the perfect spiral thrown by any pro NFL footballer, and the fact that he was able to do this with a rocket voltig and land on all four wheels like a glove shows you how impressive this guy really is. And the reason why we picked that second stunt, if anybody can successfully jump that bridge before entering the Los Santos International Airport, and not only do it, but do it with a 360 attached to it, definitely is impressive in our books. And speaking of impressive, folks, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines and kick off this AC December on the right note by checking out a couple of your crazy tracks as we go into another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator Cosmo 1010, or is it Cosmo 1010, with their said track, Cosmo's Rally Stage 1. And the reason why we picked this track for the track of the week, not only because it reminds us of those old rallycross days, with a little hint of Speed Racer with the fact that you're racing near the razor's edge at the base of the Mount Chiliad Mountain, definitely shows how impressive that this race is. And the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there, seeing the fact that you can only use a certain limited amount of cars depending on which class you have, I have a feeling you really want to start to test things out for this said map by using off-road vehicles first. Just a warning. Because if you try to go with anything else that doesn't have traction, there's a high possibility that you will be knocked off the side of this mountain, and it will cost you during this race. So choose your car wisely to start this off before you branch off into any other crazy vehicle that's on your mind. And I think the craziest vehicle for this track thus far probably would have to be Super or Sports. And that's because of a couple of you drift fans out there. And the next track that we have up, comes from Rui23 Try GTA with their track, Sky from the Sky 3. And this crazy track that's in the air higher than you could possibly imagine. It's a full-on, big, oversized triangle of a course that is a point-to-point race that'll definitely test your mettle no matter what type of vehicle you try to use on it. And in this case, it's cycles. And if you think things can't get dangerous on a track this thin with cycles, well, you're wrong. And the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there is a special trick delivered by Rui23 Try GTA herself by saying the following. Make sure when you leave that launch port that you leave with the front tire facing upward. And if you don't, there's a high possibility you won't make it to the next checkpoint for this said race, which will cost you. Just a warning, folks. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Raphael SPBR with their said track, The Race 1. And this said track, besides being an interesting track/water park featurette that actually features you racing through the makeshift dam of Los Santos, the only warning we have for you fans out there, seeing the fact that you get a chance to use every car across the board with the exception of the gun runners or special vehicles that are available in this game, is this. Be careful when you're racing over the dam because there are no barriers to protect you from falling right directly in the water. And it's a sudden stop when you hit the water, folks, because once you fall off that ramp, the space between you and water is very limited. So be careful on the turns and you'll do just fine during this said race. We hope. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Carbon360 with his said track Katorn Pasram, which I do believe translates to Maestro, what does it translate to? Apparently, according to the Maestro, it translates to "it's not going around," which was French. And besides my poor translation skills, folks, this track automatically reminds me of a combination of the ball pit from Chuck E. Cheese with a little hint of that giant spiral slide that you experience at McDonald's, and the fact that you get a chance to use off-road, sports, supers, and even SUVs during this track tells you how much fun you are gonna have during this said track. Now, the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there is be careful how you land once you leave that giant oversized spiral heading to the 3 loop-de-loops, and especially the giant oversized half pipe that you have to corkscrew your way the other way around on to make it successfully back down that said spiral. And yeah, if you don't, there's a high possibility that you will blow up or fall off the track completely and lose this race. And I hate to see that happen, especially seeing how far up you have to go up that crazy spiral. So watch how you land and you should win, hopefully. And the last but not least track that we have up for this week comes from the creator Chase Talist or Chastic Lick. You know what, we'll go with the second one with their track Xmas Came Early. And boy, oh boy, did it ever with this cool track, no pun intended, because the entire track is covered in snow and ice, and the fact that you get a chance to race on this track with just about every vehicle across the board with the exception of vans, and I do believe SUVs. It's a wonderful track to get you in the mood for the winter weather that is neither already here for you or coming soon to a theater near you. And the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there is to watch out during the turns during this said map, because there already are hairpin turns already, but if you add the element of snow on top of it, let's just say it makes things a hell of a lot worse. So make sure you pick a car with good traction and be careful and definitely slow down on those turns or it will cost you during this race. And like we said before, we hate to see that happen, so yeah, watch your speed on those turns and you'll definitely smoke out your opponents during this race. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for this start of the AC December month edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And I guess with that said, we might as well head back to this music one more time, and when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Under the Radar for this week, right after this. So don't get lost in the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned.